The Oasis Townsville is the home base for the veteran community. Our community centre is a place where veterans, along with their families and friends, can gather to engage in activities of mutual interest, seek guidance from the team on integrating into the Townsville community, or simply unwind with a coffee from Dirty Boots Cafe. Introducing Homebase, a compelling podcast series by the Oasis Townsville and sponsored by Rotary Mudingborough, which delves into the inspiring stories of veterans and their families as they navigate life after service. Hosted by Steve and Angie, this podcast sheds light on the challenges faced during transition and the remarkable ways in which guests have found purpose in civilian life. Through personal narratives and candid conversations, Homebase offers valuable insights, support, and hope for those embarking on a similar journey. Join us as we explore resilience, determination, and triumph in the face of adversity. Angie is the executive leader of the Oasis Townsville and commenced in April 2021. Angie has 25 years experience working in the community mainstream sector and over 20 years experience in leadership roles. Angie is very passionate about helping people and making a difference. Angie feels very privileged to be leading the Oasis Townsville and changing lives of the veteran community. Steve is a part of the service delivery team and served in the Air Force for 10 years and has experience working in community services. Steve's motivation sits with helping veterans and their families find their place and purpose in the civilian world, while also sharing stories of those who have lived the transition process via the podcast Homebase. Steve loves talking sport, and if you can beat him at table tennis, he'll shout you a coffee. In this episode, our guest Lachlan shares his journey after leaving the Navy, his process of finding the right job, and his volunteering with the Drive It program, where he mentors young people to help them earn their driving licenses.
Welcome, Lockie. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Our first passer on the podcast. So tell us about when you joined and why you joined.
I'll try and set a good example. I joined pretty soon out of school. I was lacking a bit of purpose and direction and watched too many war movies and decided I'd join the infantry. Went down to the recruiting centre and they somehow managed to talk me into joining the Navy. So I figured out, why not? I'll try that. And within about 2 weeks, I was down at Cerberus in the freezing cold. Never been so cold in my life, in July down in Melbourne.
So from there, what do your postings and that look like?
I was mainly based in Sydney on air warfare destroyers and the old frigates like old HMAS Sydney and Darwin. But yeah, I was a CWIS maintainer, so I was only on the ships that had a CWIS system, which was kind of a bit few and far between at the time. So I spent all my time in Sydney and then just cruising through Asia and that sort of thing.
A couple of places you visited through?
Yeah, definitely. Trips. Yeah, been to a bunch of weird and wonderful countries all through Asia and that sort of thing, and countries you never heard of. And yeah, it was great. Spent a lot of time in weird ports and getting on the piss with the boys. It was a good time.
Yeah. A couple of wild stories. You got one you can share with us, Lockie?
Yeah, definitely. Try and find a G-rated one. But I suppose we had a mate. He was a bit of a piss wreck, so we decided one morning we'd tattoo him with a please return to HMAS Sydney. Anyway, he ended up posting onto other ships and kept the tradition going, and so he'd post onto Darwin or whatever, and so get that scratched out and he'd get a new tattoo of please return to HMAS Darwin, and I think he had about 5 or 6 of those by the time I got out. Yeah,
where did he get them, on his back? Or
oh, yeah. It started big, but then he kind of started running out of space, so they were getting smaller and smaller and scratching them out. It was...
was he just crossing out the location, literally, or was he rewriting the whole thing with a new location?
Everything in between, and then he started getting a tattoo in every port, and yeah, his body was a kaleidoscope of ink and graffiti. Yeah.
So your time ended in the Navy. What did your transition look like?
I did my Rosso, and I kind of made the decision of whether I'm going to stay and do 40 years or whether I bail out now. And it made sense to me at the time just to get out and do other things. My timing was probably good and bad. I ended up getting out and then basically just running straight into COVID, and work became difficult. I was doing random jobs here and there, and I had a bit of a feeling that this virus thing might go on for a bit. So I ended up doing a uni degree online just for something to do at home. Quite enjoyed that, and then finally started working in that field, and I started missing a bit of the excitement that I'd had in the military, and so I was kind of back and forward and ended up applying to the Fireys. I thought that might be a good job. Always wanted to do it since I was a kid, and so I did that, and that process took about 2 years. finally got a call to, hey, you want to come to Townsville and be a firey? And I said, sure, got nothing better to do, and ended up here.
What was your uni qualification in, Lockie?
Environmental science. So,
Very different?
Very different.
Yeah.
I was just feeling like a bit of a change. I did that in about 2 years, and I'm still working, doing some environmental science on the side and doing some contracting and that sort of thing. I do enjoy it, but there's a lot of politics and that sort of drama around the environmental stuff, which does my head in.
Yeah.
Whereas good old firefighting is pretty simple. Just put the wet stuff on the hot stuff and away you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so just backtracking, obviously, we've had a few veterans on, and it's a common theme trying to find the right job when you get out. You mentioned it took 15 years to find the right job. So for others that are out there trying to, searching on Seek and trying different work, tell us how that looked for you.
I'd done a trade before. That was great and everything, but I wanted something else. And I suppose don't be afraid of university. If you've had a career in the military, university is really a piss take unless you're doing medicine or something. All the normal university degrees after military discipline, public speaking, writing skills, you've learnt all that stuff in the military. Taking that over to a civilian uni degree, it's laughably easy. I did an environmental science degree, and I'm very basic intelligence, and I had no worries at all.
And even better, do it while you're serving because it's funded.
True, totally. If you can line that up and do something that works with your job, then definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of scope at the moment in sustainability and environmental stuff and AI and tech and computer programming. If you're interested in any of that, I guarantee you can do it. After a career in the military, everything's pretty easy. Yeah.
So post-service, other than being a firey, what else do you do? What's your purpose now?
I do a little bit of work in Townsville here, the Drive It Academy. It's basically a mentoring program through Queensland Youth Services. Thousands of young people in Townsville don't have access to a vehicle or don't have access to a qualified instructor to take them through their L plates to get their driver's license. So I just do a little bit of work, volunteering really as a mentor to help these kids get their 100 hours or just to get through the P course. And it's a pretty successful course through this program. The first-time pass rate's like in the 90% rate, whereas the rest of the state, kids being taught by their parents, it's in the 40s or 50s or something.
Awesome. Yeah.
So it's a pretty successful program, and really, yes, the idea is to give young people access to a car and freedom, but really it's more than that. It's given them a chance to get out of their current situation, however it may, if it's a bad situation, whatever, and give them a bit of purpose. They can get to a job, they can start working some hours, doing something productive, and feel a little bit of independence.
How do people get involved in that program?
Look, just reach out to the Drive It program or Queensland Youth Services in Townsville. Other states and territories, I'm sure they've got their own programs. There's pretty limited government funding, so it's a lot of local businesses chip in and supply consumables and cars and whatever else. And then a lot of ex-defence members like myself and community members just volunteer as mentors. You're not a driving instructor. You don't need any qualifications. However, military personnel or ex-military personnel are pretty good at receiving and giving instruction. Yeah, we just mentor people of basics of driving and even stuff changing oil and air filters if you're so inclined.
Yeah, and if people are wanting to volunteer, do they just approach it the same way? Just search up Drive It and
Absolutely.
They can put their application in to come and support volunteering? What a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Your first trip to Townsville was not in the military, was that right? Or had you lived here before?
But I've been to Townsville briefly before.
Yeah.
But only just moved here and spent serious time here since I've been a firey for the last couple of years.
Okay, how are you finding it?
Yeah. Hot, aggressive, crazy drivers. That usual stuff.
Is that part of your motivation for getting into the Drive It program?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get a bit of road rage myself.
Yeah.
And instead of yelling and screaming and whinging, I figured maybe I could make a very, very small difference and kind of give some young people a bit of direction as to how to drive, basically, in a cooperative way on the roads. I see a decent amount of road trauma at work.
Yeah.
And it's all related to impatience, really.
And scooters, how much is that on the rise? Terrifying.
Insane. Yeah, they're either crashing the scooters on the road or they're
Getting hit by a
burning
car.
their houses down with charging the scooters.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit of a double-edged sword, that one.
Yeah. And how long are you in Townsville for? Is this a permanent situation with the Fireys?
I'll be here for another couple of years at least.
Yep.
My wife and I have just built a house, so we're semi-permanent in Townsville for now and enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, great.
Look, we're asking all our guests this question, Lockie. What advice would you give your younger self?
Don't stress too much. Just as long as you're doing something productive, challenging yourself, you'll figure it out as you go along. You don't need to know what you want to do straight out of school. As long as you're doing a bit of work and pushing yourself a little bit, everything will be fine.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it took you quite some time to figure out exactly what it is that you wanted to do, and here you are, landed your dream job working in as a fiery.
Definitely, yeah. It's taken me 15 years, but I know I'll be a fiery for the rest of my life.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks very much for coming on the podcast. It was great to chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Lockie.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Homebase podcast, sponsored by Rotary Munding Borough. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained valuable insights. If you'd like to explore more episodes and stay updated on future releases, visit theoasistownsville.org.au. There, you can find all our Homebase podcasts covering a range of topics related to community, empowerment, and personal growth.